What this means is that these three stages must be hardwired in human beings. If every human being does these stages the same way in the same order, and as far as we know they do, even the ones that cannot hear themselves, this is not something that children just stumble through and learn to do. This may be one of the few examples of a human instinct, because it does seem to follow that pattern. It's unlearned, it's universal, and it's uniform in expression. Everybody does it the same way. Now, children are not only picking up the sounds of the language that they use, but they're also picking up what's called prosody, P-R-O-S-O-D-Y. And this is the melody of language. You'll notice that when I'm speaking, I'm not speaking in a monotone. I'm not always speaking at the same rate or at the same loudness level. I vary it, because otherwise I would be speaking like this and you would hate it because it sounds like a robot and it would drive you out of your mind, and me too. So I'm not going to do that anymore. But this pitch and such that I'm using is prosody. We also learn certain patterns in prosody. For instance, when you're asking a question, the pitch goes up at the end, and when you're making a statement, it goes down. So we pick that stuff up. I was once spending some time with a pre-verbal child. This child was about 10 months of age. She wasn't talking yet, but she was babbling like crazy, lots and lots of babbling. And occasionally when children are babbling, they will come out with a phrase that sounds exactly like you should understand what they're saying. They say it with great conviction, and it sounds like English. And so this child came up with a sentence that was something like, "Gadida babubu." And all the adults kind of looked at one another and went, and then finally someone went, "What?" And she said, "Ga-dee-da ba-boo-boo," which I find very amusing, and I still remember it even though it's been like 2 decades, because that child had not only learned that when someone says "what," that you repeat what you said, but she also learned that if someone doesn't understand you, you say it slower and louder. That's prosody. And that is also what children are picking up when they are crying and cooing and babbling, assuming, of course, that they can hear themselves. Most children come out with their first words at about 1 year of age. Some earlier, some later. Whenever you're looking at developmental milestones, as we like to call them, realize that every child is different. Some children will get through these milestones much sooner than others. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with a child that goes through it later, or even that there's something exceptionally right with a child that goes through it earlier. It just means that everyone goes through these at their own pace. Now, a single word sentence is known as a holo phrase. And what the kids do is they will use one word as if it is a full sentence. And because of prosody, and maybe because of pointing or gesturing or facial expression, we can tell what it is that they are saying. For instance, if a child goes, "Cookie?" they could be saying, "Are there any cookies? Can I have a cookie? What kind of cookie is it?" I mean, it could be any of a number of things. On the other hand, if they go, "Cookie," that could be, there's a cookie over